say that it feels right.
What's up guys, it's the Blender, and today we are doing a solo honor mode run on BG3 with a Oathbreaker Hexblade mix that conceptually I saw and fell in love with from watching Colby's creation of his Oathbreaker Knight, or Oathbreaker Paladin, back on D4 Deep Dive, yeah, is his YouTube channel. He created one, and I wanted to test it originally when BG3 came out, as sort of like a tanky frontline character for my party, but that never came to fruition as Polemaster was broken at the time. So with that being fixed later in patch 8, or one of the patches of patch 8, I figured I'd revisit it. It's going to sort of go against the meta, where Great Weapon Master is always really good, right, and like sort of pushed even for like versatile weapons, but it's gonna be still sort of meta, right? We're still Paladin with Hexblade. We're still gonna go get the Spear of Evening, right, which is super good for all those things. We're gonna grab the Ballast Armor, but I will compare and contrast some of the fights and like basically complete each of the fights in the end game, like basically like an end game boss run. So like I think it's Gortash, Orin, like Lorokin, and the Netherbrain, etc., etc. I'm doing all of those fights in both setups, right? Not with Great Weapon Master. I'm doing without Great Weapon Master. So we're going to reject the meta. We're going to do a Polar Master Spear, basically like a hoplite. Polar Master with sword or spear and shield, and utilize Pally smites. We will do Vengeance Pally on our way up, because Oathkeeper doesn't. Vengeance just sort of has the advantage, which is what I want, to be able to like sort of like give myself advantage over and over and over again. Technically, you could swap away from this in Act 2 as soon as you get the Gloves of Automation, but I decided to just sort of like push it similar to the way I would play it in like a D&D game, where I would run 8 Paladin up through and then get the Hexblade and swap over, right? Whether that made or get 1 level dip. In the game, we do a 1 level dip early at level 2, so we'll do that. I'll try to explain things that are going on as they're going on, and yeah. So feel free. I hope you paused if you had any questions about those. We did sort of make some adjustments or some ideas, right? Like you could do 10 strength instead of 10 wisdom, and we did make those stats based off the idea that we are respecing, right? There are other ways to sort of like set yourself up to not have to respec, right? That would be different, and the stat allocations are different for like if you're planning on going Great Weapon Master. And in fact, I changed what my original plan was, so I could have, in theory, have gotten away with not having the extra charisma, right? Like later, like there's a bunch of different things that sort of like compound. I changed my plan late in the later game, so my stat allocation may not necessarily make sense for my end game build. You'll see I end up at like 23 strength or 23 charisma or something like that. But in one of the big things that just happened, or to note that just happened, is we picked up a fire arrow that's going to be very important for an adjustment to basically my pathing in the Act 1. And then obviously we did this. Now in full solo, if you absolutely want to be tryhard, here you could have Blazel jump off and take her gear. I just use the companions through the Nautiloid, 1 to EXP max, and 2 just to get done faster. Right, like this fight, you could do. This guy could do it solo, no problem, right? It would just take an extra like 3 or 4 rounds. So, if you're super adamant about it being like super solo, it's probably not the run for you. right? It is going to, like I said, I will use companions for their quest items. I'm going to use, I use the vendor warlock weapon glitch, right, to pull gold, right, and items. In part because it's just basically I use glitches that save time. I also am going to condition lock, but I reserve my basically the only thing I generally condition lock are the boots of striding and the treading twilight ring for the extra 1 AC. So you know, like that's up to you. Here we acquired Lae'zel's gear so that we have the higher AC. So I think it gives us with the shield, with sword and board, or the warhammer and board, we are at 19 AC. And then the Nautiloid, not a whole lot to explain here. Lae'zel's apparently afraid of heights. But we're just grabbing XP. We did fail the check on us, so we lost 20 XP there. Which in theory, because we don't have us, should make it so that we could gain 10 XP by killing this next one. If you get us and you kill this guy, or kill this one, then you get basically you sort of like even that out as where you lost 20 but you gained 10. Or if you saved us and you attack that guy, us becomes hostile. And if you want us in Act 2, then don't do that, right? If you want XP max, maybe it's fine. But I don't think 20 or 30 XP is ever going to make or break a run, right? Like, you'd have to have many instances of that throughout the function. There I'm setting up hotkeys on the custom bar so that I can just press 1 for like melee and 3 for my ranged attack. I tried to get Lae'zel to use the wisdom, to use the Illithid power to save my Illithid power for later, so that I can use it on, later in Act 1 without having an extra long rest. But that didn't work, so I have to use it anyway. Ideally, I use Lae'zel for this. I get to skip it and move forward, and then I like to use it on, I think, the conversation with Fezzerk, right? But Fezzerk's actually pretty low DC, I think, for Intimidate with half orc. So that doesn't that's not too big a problem. The sound cut out there is because that's when I tab out or move over, right? I'm playing windowed full screen. When the sound cuts out, I don't have the setting sounded background checked, so the game doesn't spam me like if it's playing in the background while I'm doing something. So if I reference my sort of like pathing list, or like how I want things, where I want things to move, or like I have a sort of like checklist of things to do in Act 1, etc., right? And I was getting that set up so that I could reference it if that happens, right? Or if I have to move over to look at that, right, and I click on it, then it'll cut the sound out here. Here we're taking the chest that we picked up to block the Cambions that come in from behind for this fight. This is also why I bring the other two characters, because we're going to get an extra 150 XP out of this. If we don't bring the characters, it's a lot harder. You can get most of the XP even on like super solo. You can kill all the other fiends and stuff like that, and then try to snipe the Mind Flayer. If you do that, you get 50 XP plus all that, or 75 XP plus all the other little guys. The other little guys are generally easy enough to get regardless, even without it. So really the difference between these two is I'm about to spend several more turns, right, getting an item that I'll use but doesn't necessarily make or break the run, which is the Everburn Blade. And
All's well that ends. Well, not as bad as it could have.
what else? Oh, and I'm gonna increase the possible XP that I could get by 75. Right now, lots of people like to talk about like honor mode, like they play honor mode because they can't save scum and like they can't like it's got this challenge and whatnot. Which I mean, the challenge is there for sure. There and some people even like increase the challenge beyond what it is, right? Kudos. But one of the things that happens is we have, so right there, I save scum that. I save scum that like 3 or 4 times, right? And then honor mode can in fact be save scummed. Anybody who tells you it can't is lying. What it can't do is be like quick saved out of the game, right? You used to be able to do it like right off the bat with like Alt F4, right? And then they put in some code or whatnot where Alt F4 is a system-based, like go ahead and shut down the program properly, and by doing so, right, like the proper way to shut down the game if it's in honor mode, it does the save, right? And so it initiates that properly. Here we equip that sword right off the ground. It saves us. It makes it one action to pick it up and put it on our character. But yeah, so like what you do to do the save scumming is you can F5 to quick save anywhere you want, and then just put like you do whatever thing it is, right? And then you just go over into your task manager, and if the outcome was not what you wanted, then you go over to the task manager, kill the process, right? Now, for example, I put Shadowheart behind him. I did the drop, the weapon drop, and it didn't work, right? Now I like to get it on the first one so that I can use a secondary bless if the fight goes, you know, all 14 turns or whatnot, in order to get Commander Zhalk killed. I actually get a really great sequence here, so that's not necessary. But yeah, like you can absolutely save scum honor mode. It's not perfect, right? You do have to be faster than the game, and you have to sort of like know like where your threats are. But any dice roll, right? Any persuasion check, any sort of like I need to like see this or find this thing in order to advance my character the way I want to. You quick save before that becomes a thing. You enter into it and you do it. Now, the only competing parts of this would be the automatic save spaces or save points that the game has. Like, for example, when you're going up to the bullet, right? It has specific points where it's like, we're going to save here. And when it does that, when it does that save, right? Like, that's your new save point, right? So like if you wanted to save before you got there, right? And before the bullet was on his way in, you're SOL, right? Like the game saves it at that spot. So like once you commit to that area, you're committed, right? But once you know where all those triggers are for your character and for the fights and whatnot, then yeah, you do what you want to do.
Where do I go from here?
With that being said, let's see, what do we pop? We popped advantage first, so that we could hit him. We got a daze on him. Lae'zel basically doesn't miss. Now we're gonna pop daze on him, so like, I don't think, did he get dazed? No, he didn't get dazed, but we have a chance to daze with the Inquisitor's Wrath. No, he did get dazed. He did. So, and daze removes his dexterity from his armor class, making him a little easier to hit, which is part of that. But like the Mind Flayer did 2 stuns on this guy and hit both, and you can see I'm getting worried, right? Like we are way ahead on the HP game. So like I don't use Shadowheart to shoot him. She's basically always on the end guys, right? Here in theory, I should have shot Commander Zhalk, but because we were so far ahead, I went ahead and shot the boar. What I should have done is shot Commander Zhalk because it was my last turn of Inquisitor's Wrath, and if I hit him, as long as I hit him, I would have set another turn of Daze, which would have helped Lae'zel and the Mind Flayer hit him. But lucky for us, the Mind Flayer hit him anyway, and like we are so far ahead on it on his health bar, it's not even funny.
Come a little closer.
Got to move.
We move Shadowheart, and we'll also move our own character up to the top for the high ground. Shadowheart has a terrible 13 dexterity, so she only has a +1. With the high ground and the bless, she has a 50% chance to hit him. And then we have one more, or we technically have 16 dexterity, so we have an extra +2, and we get 60% chance to hit him when we are up there, as long as we have bless on. Lae'zel, I try to attack the Mind Flayer so that I can start managing his health bar, since Commander Zhalk isn't going to do it. And Commander Zhalk no longer has his sword, so he at max per turn can do 12 damage. Each one of his fists only ever does 6 damage. Since Lae'zel missed, we go ahead and target him with, I think, Shadowheart and my Dirge character, which results in double crits, putting his XP, or his health, basically right on cue, right where we want it. We took a nice solid 20 off of there or so, which puts them both in basically like kill range for the purple box, or purple, I don't know what they're called. Those things, purple cartridges that we picked up. Right, that's why we picked up one next to Shadowheart, and we picked up the one off on the right and the 2 off on the left. We set the disengage so that we don't take a hit. We would have survived anyway, but we put these purple cartridges on the top so that in the event that Commander Zhalk survives with his resistances and whatnot, he's not pushed towards our group. He's pushed like back, right? I've had it happen where like everything blows up and he bounces towards the group, so he gets close, so then he doesn't have to dash, and he just murders my entire your entire crew, and that's no bueno. But this is probably the most perfect Nautiloid I've ever had. Right? We're like under 15 minutes, I think. We've gotten everything we want. We got all the XP from the fiends. We got the Commander Zhalk, we got the Mind Flayer. The only thing we don't have is the other extra 2 Cambions, but we also have 8 turns left, and we're leaving. We're out. So, super good Nautiloid. Everything from here should be would be solo, right? Unless I need a companion for a specific reason. Like, for example, I bring Halsin to the shadow version of Nathaniel. I take what's her name, Shadowheart to the Night Song to get the Spear of Evening. If I was gonna do Cazador, ascend, or let Astarion ascend for whatever reason, right? Like, I would do that, right? So that's sort of how I do the run. And like I said, I'll explain some of the glitches and stuff like that. But the only glitches that I do, right, are basically to save time, right? If the effect can be accomplished in the game, and the glitch prevents me from having, turns a 6-hour time frame into less, then that's what I do. Here we pick up Booming Blade and Illusion, Minor Illusion, and I picked Armor, Fagathis, and Shield, right? And this is for the Hexblade tip. I would love to get Hex here, right? It would sort of be like a mini version of being able to apply the Hexblade's Curse, and then the Hexblade's Curse would passively apply. Hex is the better DPS option here, and probably the better option just in general. However, I found in my runs that if I chose Hex, it would pull it from my any level 1 spell slot. And for whatever reason, the game pulls the level, like if you have competing slots, let's say you have, when we get our next level of Pally and we have level 1 slots from Pally, then it would pull the spell level or the spell slot from my regular spell slots and not from the Warlock one first. And this happens even with Shield, right? So like, for example, I have Shield, it's from the Warlock, and I can have a Warlock spell slot available and a Pally spell slot available, and if I hit Shield, it will take it from the Pally spell slot. It will take it from my regular level 1s before it ever touches my Warlock ones. Same thing with like Smite, right? Like when you get level 2s, right, or level 1s, etc. Like you could have Smite. It won't even give you the option to use Smite with your Warlock spell slots until you've burned through all of your regular spell slots. So I don't know when that happened. I thought you were the last time I played Paladin, I was pretty sure you were able to like select which slot, and then so you could choose your like Warlock slot, and then it would use the Warlock slot, which would be a lot nicer for like spell conservation. Maybe there's a trick to it, and I don't know it, and I have a setting set up that I'm not aware of, but I couldn't get it to work that way, so I choose Armor of Agnes. If you could get it to work that way, and like Hex always pulled from the Warlock slot first, I would just go with Hex instead. Here I had to reset because I screwed up and did not bind my weapon, and luckily I realized it first, otherwise this fight could be absolutely atrocious. So instead of having the -1 for my attribute, for having 8 strength, we charisma locked it, so we have +3. Unfortunately, that was really effective. We crit there, and even though we came from stealth and initiated what would be a surprise round, because we killed the thing outright that we engaged, we skip the surprise and go right into turn 1. I don't know why the game does this. It's it happens across the board. There's some sort like if you when enemies get larger health bars, it will also be sort of a problem where like you have to do more damage. You have to do enough damage to make them mad enough to go straight into combat rather than dialogue functions, right? However, if you do too much damage and you kill somebody outright, then they go, oh, you've murdered somebody, right? And so rather than going through and being like, oh no, you just murdered somebody, from thin air, we should be surprised, they go from surprised to, actively engaged. So if surprise round is around 0, just know that if you're stealthing and the thing that you engage first dies, then you won't have a surprise round. You'll have turn 0. Or you won't have a turn 0, you'll have a turn 1. So, for example, there I got, even though I killed him outright, I won the initiative order and I was ahead of both of them. So I was able to move my character around. If one of them had won the initiative order, I would have had to take that. And that can get, if you have low AC and whatnot, right? You can get really messed up by those things. Those things can end some runs. So like if I'm on a rogue, I generally open that particular, like if I'll put a rogue in my offhand and I'll open with my offhand so that my main hand doesn't do like a bunch of damage, right? And I'll hopefully have like sneak attack on ask, so that I don't just auto one-shot the guy, and I'll engage him with my offhand so that it engages the surprise round, and then manage to kill him with the main hand.
What did you find?
And that becomes, if you go assassin, right? If at any point you pick assassin, the assassin rogues opening and being able to, like, getting the reset of their abilities at the beginning of the round, etc., like, that assassins have the best setup for, like, creating surprise rounds. And ideally not killing the the thing outright, unless you're using like there's the cloak you get for Dark Urge with Assassin Rogue is busted good. Here we gather Astarion, put him in camp, and then we are just speed potion hunting here, really. Picking up things that are good, skipping things that aren't, because, like I said, we will be doing the Warlock packed weapon vendor glitch, so for any gold or item activation it needs. And we'd get sort of unlucky here, not getting any speed potions off of these guys. And here, this is an oath break function. It's kind of annoying how many times Dark Urge like breaks your oath. But I mean, for Oathbreaker, break it like if you want to do full Oathbreaker run, break it here and you're good. You're there. He'll be in camp. Go do your thing. Breaking your oath can be a problem if you're trying to get the Raphael armor, but I don't like getting the Raphael armor. I don't like getting the Helldusk armor early. I think it trivializes too much of the game, and you're already gonna be super tanky, right? Like we have a 15, 17 because of the 2 dexterity. We have an effectively 17 armor on our chest right now, which is equating us into a 19 overall AC, right? If we had the Helldusk armor, we'd have 21. That would result in a 23 overall. As you'd acquire Ring of Protection, Troubadour gloves, and you're at 25 AC. Like there wouldn't be anything in Act 1 that's ever going to hit you. Most things in Act 2 aren't going to hit you. And then in Act 2, you acquire another set of AC on your boots, and it just goes too far. And your cloak, right? So you'd be 27 or 29 natural, I think it is. Yeah, you'd be 27 natural, 29 or so with Shield of Faith. There'd be nothing in Act 2 that would hit you. So, I don't like getting the Helldusk armor. So we won't do that. Here we're gonna free Lae'zel. Our oath is already broken, so it doesn't matter that we're attacking the tieflings. I believe there is a way. I haven't tested it, so just know that this is sort of like conjecture. I think you can double dip XP for the tieflings. I messed it up here. I was gonna try and test it, but I messed it up here. I believe if you convince the tieflings that to leave it to you, right? If you get that convinced, you'll get the experience for talking them away, right? Leave Lae'zel in the cage, and then go knock them out, right? Specifically, turn on passive attacks and knock them out. Attacking them, I don't think, if you've already persuaded them and they're leaving, attacking them I don't think is going to break your oath for whatever reason. I don't understand why it doesn't. Since like just randomly attacking them without talking to them in the first place does break your oath, but for some reason persuading them, I think doesn't break your oath, and then because they're persuaded, you attack them and knock them out, then that doesn't break your oath because you didn't kill them. But then once they're knocked out, you can kill them, and that doesn't break your oath, but you get XP for the kills. So I think you can double dip the XP with conversation and then kill, but I believe that's also a way to keep your oath and still kill the tieflings, and then free Lae'zel as normal. Untested, right? Like I had a couple moments with different like runs, like starts and stuff like that while I was doing this, and I had one run where I did something like that, and I managed to, you know, there was one run where I was able to engage and attack the tieflings, and it didn't break my oath, and I was flabbergasted. I didn't understand what happened. So either A, there was a bug and the game broke, and I'm talking out my ass, right? Or B, there is a sequence where you can do that, and when that happened, or when I did have those toggled into passive, I believe I think I killed one of them accidentally with like an AOE arrow or something like that. And when that happened, one of them died, and I got XP, and I noticed that, and so it was like, I think you can double dip. So, like I said, untested, but I think it works. Here, we're using Minor Illusion to sort of like set these guys up. If you've ever done this before, right, like you already know. But these guys are being picky and being annoying, right? They're not lining up like I want them to, so I have to go back and forth. But we just want them to get like that, basically like a one block or just adjacent to that circle, right? We pause time, and then we have an automatic win here in the Warlock option. And then, because time's paused, even though they go to run, we can now shoot this. This allows us to double dip again. We get, I think, 50 XP for the Persuade and 70 XP for the kills. And then we're going to loot. I do get a little confused, or I do get a little forgetful that I have the fire arrow. Because I have the fire arrow, we are able to do the inner part of the catacombs here, or the tombs here, right? If we did not have the fire arrow, I would skip it, right? Because the group that is with the barbarian and everything else is just a pain in the butt at level 2, right? Especially with this setup. Maybe if we were full paladin, right, level 2, right, and we had smite, that probably wouldn't be near as bad a problem. We'd just smite the heck out of them, right? Or at least the problem guys, right? Just get all big old plate, right? Sit out there with our big AC and tank a bunch. But they can surprise you and mess some people up. But we choose, because we have the fire arrow, we're going to go ahead and go in here, and then it's still close because we get unlucky here. 60% chance to hit. Whiff. Right? And we do it again. 60% chance to hit. Whiff. It's like, wait a minute, right? And I think he takes up. I think we get a hit here. But he's faster than we are. And so, like, even though this is a really, really good jump set, right? Like, saving a lot of space and like being pretty good with that. Now here we probably should have taken a ranged attack shot at him to try and get his health down a little bit, and then quit turn. But we quit turn there, and that we also, if we ranged attack, we would have had to swap back to melee. Now we get lucky, and on the first turn before they've engaged, really, he showed up and died. Right? If he gets his words off where he's like, you know, intruders or something like that, then they all sort of like go crazy and they change their position. Right? Because he didn't manage to get any like his dialogue off. They see it as just that door open, which isn't a triggering event for them, so they're where we want them to be in the first place. And basically, the positioning that they're in right now is because we dropped that stone. If we hadn't dropped that stone through the roof, then they're in the second room in the back, right, and stuff like that. Their positioning right now is only for here. I take the Githyanki army off to not have the disadvantage on the stealth check here, but for some reason I still get caught. I am at the top of the turn order, which is where I want to be, but they didn't group up like I wanted, so it's reset time. And I believe I end up resetting this a couple times. They were not very cooperative with my my minor illusion setup. There's one when you're in the front middle of that door. There's one person, and I don't think it's a when they move, their vision just barely touches that door, and you have to pass a hiding check. I usually end up passing it, but I'm usually probably on a dexterity based like character that either has rogue or some sort of like stealth expertise or whatnot. Well, and I might have just gotten unlucky, but I think I ended up resetting like 3 or 4 times here. Here we go for attempt number 2. You have to be right on the edge in order to get it just close enough. And you basically go left till you see that torch highlight. And that's right. And you could kind of see that there, like the vision of somebody hit that center part just enough. I put the armor back on because I'm like, clearly that didn't help. So, oh well. And then these guys, even though we're engaging them, and even though because the script trigger for the other guy didn't ever go off, they're gonna always maintain their positions where they're watching the door where the rock fell in, which is funny, but. Let's see what happens. Try number 3. I think this one goes well enough. I think this one I get happy with. There we go. Yep, we managed to dodge it. Now here, ideally the way you start this is by shooting them. Right, you want to shoot them and end at the top of the order, right? I always target Houseaid because he has the biggest health. He is a bit far away from the barrel, right? That's going to explode. So he's the most likely to survive, and I believe he survives here with a pretty healthy amount of just general HP. And he's the biggest problem because he can go barbarian and basically doubles his hit pool and has reckless attack, so he can force advantage, right? Like he can be a problem.
Deadlier than ever.
I dip the fire or re-up the fire. Specifically to counter his barbarian function. Not entirely like counter, but because like he can go rage when he rages. If he rages, then everything else gets halved, but he does not the fire damage. So this gets close. I think I'm pretty confident here, and then I think he hits me for a big chunk with one of these throwers. He gets I don't know if it got. Yeah, he comes from the top of the stairs, and I think he got some. Oh, he just crit me for 12. Right, that was gonna hurt. And then I miss, right? Like this gets scary. Yep, I went ahead and bet that he couldn't hit me for 12 again. Managed to win that bet, and then lost that. And immediately felt sorry for myself for not doing that. But he runs reckless attack, and that gives me the advantage that I need to finish him off. Now it's time to go through all the. Put our sword and board on, and the warhammer, specifically the warhammer because it's bludgeoning, and for the skellies they're vulnerable to bludgeoning, so we're doing that. I'm also gonna take these candles and send them to camp. I need to keep one here. This is a mistake that I do. I don't keep one. I had one on the Nautiloid, and I forgot to pick it up when I blew everybody up. Or before we left and blew everybody up on the Nautiloid. So because of that, I no longer have the candle that I think is in my inventory. So I don't keep the candle, right? I don't keep one of those candles there, and I believe there's a candle here, and I don't keep it either, right? I send it to camp. This one I should have just picked up, put in my inventory, and then carried the candle with me so I could put fire on my weapon and make the skeleton fight faster. But mistakes are had. In these chests have a high probability to give us protection from good and evil, and we get one there. And then I don't think we get one out of the other two, so we go ahead and put that on. Protection from good and evil is a great thing to loot out of those chests because it allows us to force disadvantage from the skelly boys. Now they can sort of cancel it out by putting you in fog cloud, and somehow they see through the fog cloud, which is weird, but they can sort of like counteract it. But at least it makes it a straight roll, where they're rolling just like advantage and disadvantage cancel each other out, rather than having them have advantage. If they have advantage, that can be a really tough fight for some builds. Most builds, really. Like even if you have 17 AC, you go in there. If they pop a fog cloud on you, and all of them are doing their ray of frost, and the other guy's hurling rocks at you at level 2, like if you're solo, they like and you're not, unless you're a barbarian, you're likely getting crushed.
What's inside? Armed scribes, but no sign.
Here we go ahead and pull everything off of the scribes, so they don't have weapons, right? They have to either melee us with their hands, or they have to use their spells, which we're going to force them to do at disadvantage unless they pop a fog cloud on us, which is sort of gives us the ability to waste their fog clouds and force them to do as little damage as possible.
Seems simple enough. Forbidden knowledge.
We do a little EXP max here.
This book is far lighter than it should be with such a massive log.
I think we actually make both these checks.
As what was once script is now an obliterated scroll.
Yep.
You have a scar that can
Good. Yep. So we get XP there. We get the feeblement, which can be sold. There's a soul coin in that grave there, or sarcophagus. And then we take the stuff off this guy. This chest also has a good chance to have protect from good and evil, but no bueno, no dice. Now here, it's important to crouch before you hit this button. If you are uncrouched when you hit this button, you are instantly in combat. If you crouch, then you have time to go ahead and set these things up. We're going to go ahead and throw alchemy supplies to camp and grab the other stuff. When that, I'm using spacebar to loot all, so that's super fast like that. We did multiple sprints so that we had enough movement speed to go ahead and get in here and engage. Here's where I'm finally realizing that I'm an idiot and I should have checked for this candle right before before I got here. But here we are. So now I'm gonna come back here. This is probably just a waste of time, but it is what it is. I'm gonna come back here and use these candles that are already here to go ahead and do that. And I realized that I had not set up my protection from good and evil. So guess it's not entirely a waste of time. I missed several things. I debated here putting Armor of Agathis on and doing like a short rest. Probably wouldn't have been. Yeah.
Just out of view.
I should have short rested there, rather than use the potion. I should have just short rested, and then continue to spam this. I check for that stuff, make sure we're all good. Like I said, this fight can be a little scary if you get messed up.
Deadlier than ever. What path lies
here we're gonna get there and we're gonna unpause to do the get into combat, which I think doesn't work out for me. I think I messed that up. He turns around and takes a look, and or somebody does. Yeah, this guy does. Yeah. So like this is a terrible start. Then we start off with a miss.
Time to press.
We want to use that at the beginning of our round, because since we don't have, since it's only like 2 turns, which really in this game means it's 1 turn, right? It doesn't maintain through the 2nd turn for whatever reason. I don't know why. I feel like they didn't do that in Divinity 2, like DOS 2. I liked the turn system in Divinity, right? It was very, very refined and real good. I don't know if it's the same. Because one of the things that happens, or that I found that happens, is like if you take a speed potion, which they, you know, D&D is 10 turns, in Baldur's Gate 3 is 3 turns, right? But if you take it, you get the point. When you use it, you get the turn that is turn 1, right? And it or technically it shows as turn 3, right? However, that turn ends when it gets to the end of the people. It doesn't end when it comes back to you, right? And so then when the next round goes and it does come back to you, you're in turn 2 now, and it'll show a number 2, right? If it shows a number 2, you have 1 more turn before it goes, right? And then when it shows a number 1, that means it has 1 turn, right? But you don't get it quite like that generally, right? You usually when it has 1 on it means that it is about to expire, basically. And so when the moment it comes up to your turn again, right? You lose it. So like Terran Zul has 2 turns, and it says it gives you its effects for 2 turns, and it gives you the effect when you use it, and it gives you the effect for the next round, but the next round is the last round, and so you will go lethargic, not at the end of that round, right? Yeah, not at the end of the round. But you go lethargic at the beginning of the next one, rather than at the end of it. It should give you on turn 1 when it says 1, right? When it ends that turn and it goes to 1, you should get to use your character for that round. But you don't, right? Because it's at 1, it realizes that turn is happening and that buff exits, right, at the beginning of your turn. And because it exits, it makes you lethargic and you skip your turn. It should happen at the end of it.
Should get started.
And that's why. So that's why Terran Zul, right? When you have Terran Zul, you basically want to combine it with either haste or just leave it all by itself. And you just basically you pop the first one, you get 2 turns out of it, because you popped it in that round, that first round and the next round, right? But when it says 1, right, you pop another 1, and it'll override the buff, right? It'll cause it to go to 2, right? It'll force the lethargy from overriding the buff, so that forces the lethargy to happen at the end of there, right? And then you move into the next one. So you can forcibly give yourself haste with Terran Zul, but you have to start it up with Terran Zul, and then you have to continuously hit it every turn. And that's how you end your turn, because when you hit it, you're going lethargic. There we chose to, basically, the fastest option is the only life that matters is mine for regular tabs, and Paladin apparently is a special one, or you can say, you know, it depends on the worth and whatnot. And yes, like, I'm curious how you judge them, but Nothing crazy here. And here we are going to hit these 2 survival checks, little chests on the backside here. You don't have to, right? And they don't have high chances of having stuff, but some of them, you know, if we'd be nice to have like a minor illusion, or not a minor illusion, like a mirror image if we got lucky, maybe a blur,
That's curious.
and start acquiring some of those buff scrolls that we will use, right? Like they're probably not having haste, right? But they could have, you know, a decent level 1, level 2. And that's it for the front here. We save going and getting the Harper's Cache, right? Which is over by, or Cache, right? That's over by where you meet Asterion. I save that for a little bit later when we have more proficiency and more need for the 2 speed potions. And again, like that's one of those things that if I haven't, I'll save scum it, right? Unless I've acquired a bunch of potions from the vendor already, I'll save scum the heck out of it. I want those speed potions. Here we prep for the grow fight. Once you get this autosave function there, you see where it did that. The screen goes dark and whatnot, and it autosaves. It'll also stop your character. It won't continue with movement. That's basically just about where you stop. You don't have much more movement before it initiates the thing. Here I choose all damage. I thought about going full tanky. The goblins with the Fury of the Small, and us being a larger or medium-sized entity, Fury of the Small can actually wreck you. Like if these 2 goblins both hit me in the same turn, right? And Lord help me if either one of them crit, like they could easy remove you, especially if Zevlor hasn't gotten temp HP up. Additionally, the temp HP from here overrides the armor of Agathis if you put armor of Agathis up, so don't do that. Right? That's one of the other reasons why I would have preferred to have Hex. You know, we could have hexed either one of those, had a bunch more damage, and be really cruising. But like I said, I couldn't get it to properly do the spell slots, so 'tis what it is. Here, I'm really the character pathing in some of these guys is crazy, right? Like Will Hunger of Hadar's with one guy, right, and then jumps away from him to give him high ground. And here he has 2 guys, right? Like I think we end up playing tag with this guy a bunch. Zevlor's going after the Booyog. That's actually good. She got high ground, which is really good. All right, this like to me, this is shaping up pretty good, right? We got some crits coming in, right? They're sort of winning on all fronts, right? With the exception of Barth. Barth always dies, but Barth's at full health still. Zakrug's after him and missing him. Right, the Bugbear's the one that's crazy, and he's after Eridan. But then, like, why, Will? He ran up where the Warg and the Bugbear are, and he hit just one person instead of hitting both of them with it. And he had the option to get the Booyog and the Archer, right? But instead, he comes over here and pops the 2 guys that aren't going anywhere. Like, if you've got the lack of reactions on them, neither one of those are reacting to anything. Like Eridan's not running. Like that didn't make any sense. And then Ramira is at least up here, but if I remember right, she jumps off into danger or something like that. There's Will, you know, casting Eldritch Blast while he's in melee, so he's technically threatened. So he's, you know, got disadvantage on those casts, like a goober. I still can't hit this damn goblin to save my life, or theirs. I finally get the push, but obviously I'm a weak character. I don't have a strength potion, and I don't use the early, like the deluxe edition stuff, right? Where I know there's a strength potion I could have acquired. If I'd gotten that, this goes a lot easier, right? Having +5 strength on that weapon early is just sort of ridiculous, right? But I try not to use that thing. Same thing with like the shapeshifting, right? Like I don't use the shapeshifter mask, right? If you do use the shapeshifter mask, it makes any character able to do the drow functions and just sort of like cruise their way through the goblin camp, which will help you. Like if you're wanting to do that, will help you get through a bunch of the persuasion checks there and get to the without using your illithid stuff per se. Now Barth finally got a streak. He's losing. The bugbear tagged with his special ability. Barth is hanging on by a thread. I managed to hit the bugbear, but I don't think I get the push. Yeah, he's too heavy. But now I'm in melee. I'm here forever. Knocked him out. Now the question is, does Barth survive? Everybody basically has to hit Zikrug. She throws health onto Aridin instead of onto Barth, who's getting murked. Zikrug misses. Which is the only reason Barth survives. Hey, yeah! This is probably one of the few times I've had all three of them survive that fight. And then, grab the Gloves of Power and put those on. I do go get the Guidance Cantrip necklace before I go into the Grove. However, you know, it's not necessarily required for the pathing or the functions that I'm doing here. It is nice for if you were doing any pickpocketing. So if you're doing like the pickpocketing of Zevlor for the Hellrider's gloves or whatnot, then come get this and it'll help, right? If you're gonna pickpocket a bunch of things, you know, in there, or you have you're worried about some of the persuasion checks, like you don't have an auto win for persuading Roland to stay, etc., then just come up here and get this. So I have made it a habit where I just come up and get it before I do anything in the Grove. I've been saving my level 3 level up for utilizing against the vendor, so I can get a quick reset on their inventory for anything specific that I want. Like I'm probably looking for a quarterstaff +1, or you could potentially do like a spear +1 for this build. But I like using the quarterstaff, mainly because I usually don't have that darn fire arrow. Here I missed that perception check, so missed some XP there. There's also like 2 XP or 4 XP, something like that, for each little spider once you push them, pull them out, and crush them. So there's like, I think it's like 25 XP maybe max that we missed there. But that should be about it for today. We'll go ahead and stop it there. That's how we get through the Nautiloid, get through the Grove fight, and go ahead and enter the Grove. From here forward, I appreciate you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. And if you did, I will catch you in the next one.